Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that. That might have been, Margaret was just saying about 5 minutes. I thought everybody had frozen. Go ahead. I apologize.
Terry, has your question been answered?
So my question then is, if we revise the terms of reference today to state that if a staff member cannot be at the meeting, or that an appointed member of the committee can take minutes, and would that cover this issue? Would we be able to move forward? Joanne?
Sure. Through the acting chair, certainly. If we update the terms of reference to appoint a note taker for the meeting, that is something certainly that we would add to the updated terms of reference, and then they would be approved by council, and you can begin as soon as it's approved by council.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So if we have no further comments, I would like to have a motion to accept our agenda of July 8th today. Can I have a motion?
We've already adopted the agenda, Joy. We're just adopting the minutes from June the 10th.
Okay, let's move on to minutes of June 10th.
I'm in favor. I will adopt the minutes. Rhiannon.
I'm sorry, who's speaking?
It's Rhiannon.
Rhiannon.
Rhiannon. And do I need a seconder for that?
Yes, please, Joey.
Can I have a seconder for adopting the minutes from June to? Thank you, Elaine. Okay, moving on. Declare any conflict of interest. If anyone has a declaration of conflict of interest, raise your hand. I see no hands. Moving on. Item 5, terms of reference update. Councillor Neal, that the Age-Friendly Committee recommend to Council the approval of the updated terms of reference. Are you prepared for this, Fred?
I'm not. I think Joanne is going to talk about it, and I can't move or second it anyway. So I'll transfer it over to Joanne to discuss the changes in the terms of reference.
Okay. Leslie has something to say.
I just wondered whether anyone had been sent these updated minutes. I haven't seen anything.
I believe, Joanne, are you not going to put it on the screen?
Yes, sorry, through the acting chair. Oh, no, I can't put it on the screen because my video is off. So if you don't mind, once we're ready, I can begin speaking to it, and we can kind of go through the details.
Just a point, I believe no one on the committee has actually received a copy of the terms of reference. I myself haven't, so if you wouldn't mind going through it step by step, I'd greatly appreciate that.
Through the acting chair, of course, that was our intent. We would just speak to some of the recommendations and have a discussion today.
Yes, Fred?
Maybe through you to Joanne, can we defer this for another meeting? Is it necessary to pass it today or recommend it today?
Through the acting chair, obviously, whatever is the wish of the committee, if it's your wish to defer, that's entirely fine. We'd just be having the same conversation at the next meeting.
The issue is that Leslie just mentioned that no one has seen the new guidelines, and I think our committee members should at least take a look at them before, because we're going to discuss something that's not even on the screen. And I'm all for passing it today, but I think so that the committee can take a look at it and make some comments on it, which they cannot do without seeing them, is that for the sake of another doing it at the next meeting, unless we have to have it done today, that I suggest, and I can't defer it myself, but someone can defer it to the next meeting.
Thank you, Fred.
Through the acting chair, I'll just chime in there. I'm going to see if Margaret can share her screen to be able to put up the existing terms of reference. There are no, all we were going to do today was speak to it. So there's nothing that if the committee determines that the recommended changes that we discussed today, which will be fairly minimal, just reflecting what the committee work has been doing already. Like I said, if you'd like to defer it, otherwise we have nothing concrete. We just wanted to speak to it and have a discussion today at the committee level.
Joey, it's Jean. Joey?
We've lost Joey.
Oh, we lost. No, she's here.
Oh, there she is. Wow.
Joey?
I want to see this deferred. I'm not voting on anything today. I want to see a copy of it.
Oh my God.
I would like to say, can we please listen to, because the mayor is available at this meeting, I would say, can we at least just listen to what Joanne has to say, and we can defer the whole thing for voting for another meeting. But I am very interested in just seeing what's being proposed, as just so that we get an idea of what's being proposed as the changes to the terms of reference. And then we can deal with whether or not we're going to vote on it or not at another meeting. But it'd just be a nice idea. Can you go to the bottom of this terms of reference? The bottom? Okay. Thank you. Okay. Okay, good. Okay. So is it possible, will the committee indulge in letting Joanne speak to it? Because I just have a couple of comments that I'd really like to make. And as I said, we can wait to vote on it for another meeting if the council wishes, but I do wish, I would really be interested in hearing what Joanne has to say. Will the committee indulge that?
Yes.
Can I speak, Chair Joey?
Are there any objections? Joey, are you with us?
She's muted.
Oh.
She doesn't know she's muted. There she is.
Sorry.
Hey, Joey, can you ask if the committee is in agreement with allowing us to listen to at least what Joanne has to say?
Can I have a show of hands, all those in agreement to have Joanne give us a little bit of at least a leeway into reading some of these updates?
Sure.
Sorry, Chair Joey, I can't raise my hand. I do have a comment if I am able to speak.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. My only concern is if we, and I have no objection to anything we're about to do. The difference is if we're not going to vote them and if people would like the term of reference sent out to us ahead of time, I don't know if we can allot the time for both, like to go over this again. So if we're going to do this, I believe we should do it in the full, wholesome discussion that we're having right now, or defer it all and have then a full, wholesome discussion. Having two meetings with this discussion, I think, is
redundant.
It also might impede the intent. I'm trying to say it as fast as I can, so I personally, and I'm not speaking for everybody else, don't think that two full meetings or discussions is good. So one or the other. We're either going to defer today, that's fine. That's not a problem. I will go with the will of the board, or we can do it now.
I think there are some important things that are going to come out in this preliminary discussion.
And I'm not saying it's not, but it will be coming out next meeting as well.
It may not.
Joey?
Okay.
Elaine has the floor.
Yeah.
Elaine, go ahead.
Just a comment through the chair. I wonder if this was put on the agenda, why wasn't this new terms of reference sent out prior to this meeting? Who dropped the ball? You know, that's not fair to bring this to a meeting and not have the paperwork in front of us to look over before a meeting.
Can I have a show of hands of those who would like to defer this until our next meeting when we are all able to receive a copy of the terms of reference? All those in favor of deferring this issue to the next meeting? And I only see a show of 2 hands. Therefore, we'll proceed with Joanne.
Okay, can you hear me?
I'm sorry, Joanne, excuse me a moment. Sebastian has his hand raised.
All right, just to clarify on Elaine's point, there is my understanding that nothing new has been made to the terms of reference yet, and we're just here to discuss it first, or are there proposed changes already?
Through the acting chair, we're just having the discussion today. If there are some proposed changes, as staff, myself, Councillor Neal, and the CAO have discussed some options, but of course it's just an open discussion today at the committee level. So the reason why they hadn't been sent out is we haven't drafted anything to be sent out. We're having the discussion.
Thank you.
I have a question. Do we not currently and in the past have a terms of reference? I have never myself seen it. No one knows.
Through the acting chair, we certainly do have a terms of reference which were approved by council in 2015. When those terms of reference were approved in 2015, the committee actually was disbanded in November 2018, which means that the committee no longer exists. So in order for us to kind of continue, we do need to operate with a terms of reference so that way the committee can continue. And all we really want to do is update the terms of reference to what the committee has already or how it's already been functioning. In 2017, there were some recommended changes. However, again, they were never approved and never updated. So all we're trying to do is make sure that you have a terms of reference to actually function as a proper committee. And that was our intent today, was to make sure that you're operating correctly.
Okay, I just see Leslie has her hand up. Go ahead, Leslie.
At the bottom of the terms of reference, and I saw those when I first came on this committee, they have approved March 9th, 2017, updated March 20th, 2017. What is that referring to if it wasn't approved?
For sure. So through the acting chair. So what that means is that was the date that the committee had made recommendations to the updates. However, it was never approved by council. Because it is a committee of council, any terms of reference for a functioning committee are required to be updated by council. So it may just have been missed at that time. So that is why you will see the approved and updated of March 9th and March 20th, 2017. That's what those dates are there for, because the committee had approved them.
One further question before we go on. Throughout these terms of reference, it refers to the staff liaison, but you just told us that's not the right terminology, but that is what we've been operating on since the inception of this committee.
That's correct. So through the acting chair, that's exactly correct. So I'm not sure what has happened. Maybe when the terms of reference had been created, just some of the terminology we need to be a little bit clearer on. What a staff liaison does is they're here to help and assist with the planning of events, the planning of programming. When a clerk is present, the clerk is there to provide that procedural and legislative role. So those are the things that we want to clarify moving forward, the difference between the requirement for a staff liaison and the requirement for a clerk being at the committee.
So that means nobody has known that this was wrong since it started.
Through the acting chair, I'm not going to say it was incorrect. I'm just saying that moving forward, we want to make sure that it's very clear and that you're operating at your highest potential, and that way that there's no roadblocks for this committee.
Okay.
Okay. So Joanne, I guess you couldn't proceed with the explanations for the terms of reference update.
Sure. Okay. So I was going to start by saying hello, everyone. I hadn't had the pleasure of meeting any of the members of the committee before I started a few months back, but I'm happy to have met everybody now. So a little bit kind of about me. I was born and raised in St. Catharines. Both my husband and I actually were. I'm not going to say how long ago, but I've worked at the clerk's office since 2008. In 2009, I supported the city of Burlington with their request to be officially recognized by the World Health Organization as an age-friendly community. So I'm very familiar with the importance of age-friendly and the importance of the work that you are doing within our community. But kind of back to why I'm here. One of the reasons why I'm here is to better support the committee, like I said, in the great work that you've been doing. Being the new city clerk here, I'm just trying to understand and learn how our committees are working and how they have worked in the past and where we can grow and continue to succeed. So today, really, we're just here to discuss the terms of reference and determine what works best for you moving forward to continue to provide you with the support for the good work that is being done for our community. A little bit of the history, the last time that the terms of reference were approved by council was 2015, with some of those changes as we discussed in 2017. But again, these had not been brought to council and updated with some of those changes that have taken place over the past few years. So we had felt that it was time to really, and we're doing this with all of our committees, is to formalize the terms of reference and reflect what has been going on over the past couple of years, reflecting those changes. So at the end of June, Councillor Neal, CAO Delwaria, and I had met to discuss how we can better support and bring the committee up to speed and update the terms of reference to reflect the needs of our committee. So we really wanted to have this discussion today to get your opinion and updating those terms of reference to reflect those needs. And I've already made one of those notes with regards to the staff liaison potentially being someone who could be appointed by the committee to take the notes in the absence of the clerk. So since conception of this committee, there has obviously been great work within the community. You're very important to our community, and we as staff, we recognize that. So we've made some recommendations, but again, let's have that discussion during this meeting. I'd like to know what some of the changes you would have to help move this committee forward and function at its best. Once we have that discussion, Councillor Neal and I can communicate to the members what came out of our meeting at the end of June. It's always been our intent, and it always will be, how we can best support the committee without any interference or roadblocks of some of the formalities of council and the requirements to get council approval for everything. So we just want to ensure the continued success of the committee without the requirement of these rules of procedures that may be a bit of a pain. So that's basically it that I have to say. So if we have any questions, I know Margaret's got it up on the screen. As you can see, the last terms of reference, you've got your mandate. There were some recommendations that we had to include, being a little bit more open to full age friendly, as opposed to just limiting it to maybe seniors, having the inclusion of an individual who's under the age of 30. And the composition, we're not very clear on who the voting members are. It says here 2 members of council, but the committee actually approved 1 member of council. So we just want to update the terms of reference to reflect that it's 1 member of council, and that a member of the library, I believe it would be, I'm still going to get your name wrong, so I apologize. I'm just going to say the library representative be formally added to the council or to the committee composition, and a staff liaison, and remove the requirement for the clerk to be at that meeting to kind of help alleviate those pressures of proper process and procedure. And that was basically it. That was coming from our end. And again, if you have any questions, happy to discuss them here at the committee level. Did I get lost?
Does anyone have further questions?
I have lots of comments, but I would like other committee members to comment before I comment.
I just have a comment. I actually would like to have a copy of the current terms of reference sent to my email. If that could be accomplished, I'd really appreciate it.
As soon as the meeting's over, I will disseminate the current terms of reference to the committee.
Thanks very much. And Leslie, I think you had your hand up.
No, that's okay. I noticed things in these terms of reference that should be changed, that I noticed when I first started on the committee. Calling it ad hoc because we've gone into the next term. Various little things like that, but I'm not prepared to say anything more because I don't know why it was worded the way it was, for example. I do know we had 2 members of council at one point until the 1 member couldn't make it. So I think that's why we only have 1. I'm not sure whether council wanted to or whether it was set up like this with other age-friendly committees. That's all. I'd rather have a discussion after things are suggested to be changed.
Anyone else? Jean?
Joey? Terry?
Terry, go ahead.
Yeah, I can give some background history, and Councillor Neal's aware of all this, but I agree with what Leslie said. I think it's time to get the word ad hoc out of there. I would just call it age-friendly committee. Because what happened is Councillor Neal and I attended the presentation at the region back at the beginning of last term. So I'm guessing that was around, it's been a while. It's been a while, but we came back to council with the recommendation and to form an age-friendly committee within the city of Thorold. And at the time, the word was ad hoc age-friendly committee. And Councillor Neal brought that motion forward. I seconded it, and we became the 2 council reps. That's where the 2 council reps came from, because we wanted to make sure that we were part of that committee. And so I think moving to 1 now is fine. And the mayor can sit in on any meeting just like they can on any committee of council. And I like to chime in every once in a while because this committee is near and dear to my heart. And I know that it's near and dear to Councillor Neal's heart. And so that's the reason of how we got to 2 council members. And I do believe it's time that it's not it's an age-friendly committee. I don't think the term ad hoc needs to be there anymore. Those are just 2 comments I have, along with what the clerk already mentioned, that you make sure that if no staff person's there, that someone from the committee can take notes and you can proceed, because I don't want to put any roadblocks in front of this committee. I love the work they do, and I want to see the make life easy as possible and move forward and do things for our community. So that's basically all I have.
Thank you, Terry. Dan, go ahead.
Hi, Joanne. Dan Pelche, Thorold Community Activities Group. Thanks for introducing yourself and with a little background. I look forward to meeting you in person. I'm just going to make a comment. Sorry I missed the beginning of the meeting. I'm not sure what content I missed, but I'll catch up with the minutes. I just want to reinforce what I heard you saying at the end of your overview, Joanne, and that is that terms of reference. By the way, I'm a governance guy. Anywhere I've come into an executive role, it's one of the first things I've addressed to make sure that you have the tools in place. So as people have mentioned here today, that you can make decisions that don't come back on you. It's important to have that in place. That being said, however, it's impossible for any piece of policy to address every possible situation that comes up. And at the end of it all, you have to be able to rely on the judgment, respect, and good discretion among people in the discussion. I would just like that tone to be reflected somehow, if it could, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Anyone else? Jean?
Yeah. Was anybody else before me?
I'm sorry, Jean. Fred had his hand up. Go ahead.
Just in regard to composition, because when we first started off and we worked on a premise all the way along, and when although we're calling it the age-friendly committee, it's all ages. And the one thing that we don't have as far as a composition is concerned is a younger person as part of the committee. And it might be advisable to put some sort of reference to having at least one member of the community from the younger set. And I don't know whether it's on the under 30 set or the under 20 set or whatever it might be, because I think we have to have further discussion on that. But I think we're a composition of all ages, and we should be dealing with all age-related issues that come before us as far as the community is concerned. So I would like to make sure that we add in some sort of other person on the composition side of things.
Thank you, Fred. Jean?
Okay. First of all, here, let me just gather my thoughts before I start. I'm very disappointed that a meeting was held at City Hall to deal with the terms of reference, which I understand, Councillor Neal, and Councillor Neal, I can't tell you how wonderful you have been to this committee. I just can't tell you. And also the mayor, I can't tell you how wonderful you have been. So I do not want to let my comments in any way diminish the importance of your support and the importance of what you've done for this committee over the last 7 years. But I am disappointed that a meeting was held at City Hall to discuss the terms of reference without having the chair of the committee, or to discuss possible terms of reference without having, and I understand Councillor Neal, I understand Manoj, and I understand, and if I'm wrong, please correct me because I wasn't there. And I understand that Joanne, we're all present at this meeting to discuss changes, but that the chair was not invited to provide any input, even in those preliminary discussions. But there are no rules that say that the chair has to be invited to preliminary discussions. I think it is normal courtesy and normal practice to do so, but I don't think any rules were broken. The last thing is the terms of reference that have been presented by staff and are currently on for us to look at are not the current terms of references. The current terms of references were updated and adopted by council on February 14, 2019. The current terms of references have term of appointment in them. And it says the term, it has a lot of changes. And it has that the term of appointments are from November 30th, 2018 to November 30th, 2022. So our current terms of reference are current and were passed by council and were changed. So what's been presented to us aren't even the current terms of reference. The other thing that I would like to say is, number one, we have been operating for 7 years and we haven't had any issues. And I would like to echo Dan's comments. It's how you interpret these. We want a staff liaison person at the meetings. We have been happy with the advice, the direction, the support the staff liaison person has put there. We can add to and change the terms of reference to say that a staff liaison person should be at the meetings, but whenever a staff liaison person can't be there, that the chair could take the meeting, could take the minutes as long as they're quorum. But this does not prevent abuse. What could happen when you put that clause in there is that they can use that clause to say, well, I don't need to have a staff liaison person because in the terms of reference, it says the chair can take the minutes. So for this excuse or for that excuse, the chair then becomes the staff person, becomes the person taking the minutes. So as Dan said, no matter what law you put in there, it is the interpretation and how that law is, or how that rule is applied. Number two is I have no objection to adding a younger person. I think it's a little bit of a slap in the face to Sebastian, though I thought he was a younger person, but the whole thing of younger person, I have no problem. I want to put a 20-year-old, if we want to discuss that at some point, I have no problem. I have a real issue with somebody from the library being our staff liaison on this committee. Number one is the library is a separate independent arm of the city. It's not part of, it's not directly part of the, it has its own rules, it has its own board. I know it's supported by, but it's not. And I was talking to, because I was talking to Joanne Hine this morning, she explained to me this new change and I was just curious. So I called Joanne at the library and I said, Joanne, did anybody even run this by you? And believe it or not, or the board, because Joanne reports to a board and none of this change was even run by her or the board. So that's another issue. The last thing that I really want to say, and I've written this down and I'll gladly forward to you. The reason why staff liaison was added to the committee, and if to be noted, the staff liaison is there for taking minutes to ensure consistency and accuracy of the minute. But there's a more important reason why the staff liaison there. But the staff liaisons present on the committee serves more important function to not only the committee, but to council. The staff liaison is there to ensure that the meeting has quorum before proceeding, either, and to ensure that it is not a legal meeting, to ensure proper agenda and meeting notification, as without proper meeting notification and without proper meeting notification, then this also contravenes current municipal procedures, and also to ensure that the minutes are accurate and duly passed and posted. And this again is for council's protection, to ensure municipal policies are adhered to, including policies for applying for grants, holding events, to ensure that budget and fund allocated to committees are spent as intended and in accordance with municipality policies. The staff liaison person serves as a conduit for questions that need to be directed to other staff members for response. So there's a big function and an important function of the staff liaison person. And as I said, we have had no issues for 7 years. And currently there seems to be issues. Do I have anything else to say? Looks like at this point I have nothing. So the current, but the current terms of reference that are looking for are not valid. They're old ones. I think they were probably one of the first ones we ever did.
Fred, go ahead.
Yeah, just to correct, and I agree with most of the comments that Jeannie has just mentioned, but there was one correction: is the meeting that they arranged with me being there had nothing to do with the terms of reference. It had everything to do with bringing Joanne up to date on the history of this committee for the last 7 years and the progress that we've made over time. During that meeting, Joanne brought up the terms of reference, and she said she just wanted us to go through them a little bit and for me to make some comments on it, which I did. And I don't even see a number of the comments that I made that are in here. But anyways, so I didn't go to that meeting in order to do terms of reference. That was not why I was invited to the meeting. It just sort of related once we got into the meeting that Joanne wanted to go over the terms of reference. There was a second part to the meeting which I dealt with a in-camera thing regarding this committee, and we are the staff is working through that particular aspect of that particular thing. But anyways, that's not the reason why I was there. I was there to bring Joanne up the update on what's been happening for the last 7 years regarding the committee.
Most appreciated for that info.
Are there any further questions or comments regarding terms of reference?
Sorry, through the acting chair. I finally got back on. It was my work computer that didn't provide me with access. I'm just going to see if Margaret can let me share the screen for a moment. I think I have. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. So yes, thank you, Councillor Neal. So the information that we have on the screen now in red is what we had kind of discussed at that meeting. And thank you for making that clarification. There was no way intent to have a discussion to kind of bamboozle the committee. It was just having a discussion, kind of going through what some of that history was. So as you can see here are the changes that we were recommending. It was basically, and after the discussion today, we might not use it as task force, we would keep it as committee, but we would remove ad hoc. So if I'll go line by line, that way if everybody's comfortable. And the reason for this, me not sending it out, was we wanted to have the discussion, and we didn't want this to be out to the committee when it wasn't something that we were 100% recommending or approval. We wanted to have a discussion. That's all that this was. So the first change or recommendation was removing ad hoc and just keeping it right now. If we don't want to call it task force, we can just keep it as the age-friendly committee. Does anybody have questions about that? Jean?
How can we have a discussion now on changes to the terms of reference when you haven't even got the correct terms of reference that you're working from? Number one. And number two, I just want to make one other comment. I don't have any problems. I'm glad Fred clarified what happened at the meeting. But if there was a discussion on terms of reference that came out of that meeting, then should the chair, at least the chair, have been brought in to have a look at these? Normally what we would have done if this discussion had happened, even on an ad hoc basis, it wasn't a planned meeting, what the previous liaison person would have done, would have called me and said, Jean, there was an informal discussion on terms of reference. And would have brought me up to speed on the discussion, and would have brought me up to speed and would have allowed me to make some comments before it went to committee. How do you know that this is how do you know that this is part of the current terms of reference, or these changes haven't already been made when you don't even have the current terms of reference in front of you.
Yeah, so through the acting chair. So I just did a review and looking at the February 14th meeting, there was no council meeting that date. So I looked at that week, which was February 19th, and it wasn't on the council committee or the council agenda there anyway. So we are going by the last approved terms of reference that had actually been approved. One of the changes that had been made was going from 2 members to 1 member and keeping the mayor as a ex officio.
Joanne, I don't know what you don't understand. You don't have the current terms of reference. The current terms of reference were passed by council. And I don't know why we're having this discussion when you don't even have the current terms of reference in front of you.
And
I'm now prepared to defer this item, and I would like to ask a meeting with Manoj. I would like to ask a meeting with Fred Neal and myself to deal with the terms of reference so that we could bring something proper to the next meeting. So I would like to make a motion to that effect.
Okay, Jean, go ahead.
I would like to make a motion that we now defer the terms of reference issue until a meeting can be set up with Manoj, with Joanne, with Councillor Neal and myself to discuss any changes to the terms of reference, and to be presented at a future meeting, and that before the meeting, the correct terms of reference will be included in the council package, as well as any suggested changes.
And circulated to this committee?
Circulated to you in advance. So you will have the correct terms of reference, the current ones, any suggested changes. And if there are suggested changes that staff would like to see and I disagree with, or anybody disagrees with, that'll be noted. Staff recommends this. Council rep or chair is in a good, it'll show both sides of the story. You'll have that in advance of the meeting with the minutes and the agenda.
And that's your motion, Jean?
That's my motion.
Any further discussion? Marilyn? Marilyn, go ahead. Marilyn, you're on mute, I believe.
Yeah, I'm gonna get behind my can of pop, my bottle of pop. I'm seconding Jean's motion.
Yes.
All in favor? Thank you. So the terms of reference are now deferred to future meeting. Okay, back to the agenda, number 6, the calendar update. Jean, could you advise us on what you've found updated so far?
I unfortunately have been involved in these other issues and haven't made as much progress on the calendar, unfortunately, because I've been involved in these other issues.
Okay.
But we have 11 sponsors for the calendar, and we have some of the pages, the pictures for some of the calendars, and we're going to make it a priority. I'm going to make it a priority the next 2 weeks. And Joanne from the library is helping also. Making a priority the next 2 weeks to try to get the various pictures. So we have 11 sponsors. That's very good, and we are making progress. And I hope, and I do. No matter what happens in the future, because I'm going to tell you what my position is in my in the roundtable. What my position is and what I'm going to do for this and not do for this committee in the roundtable. I will see this project through, okay? So I do have, sorry, okay. That's all I have to say. So we're progressing. We've got a lot of good sponsors, and I want to thank all of you.
Thank you, Jean. Leslie?
I just wanted to update Jean. I haven't talked to her. My daughter, Siobhan, who used to run a business and worked for Shannon Pissarro, went with me this week to talk to Shannon about sponsoring. Apparently she'd already sent in a picture for the calendar. She explained to us that unlike grocery stores, businesses like hers really have suffered over COVID because they've been completely closed for a year and a half. She took the form. She said she would discuss it when they were looking at their budget. I told her there was only one spot left. We tried to explain how important it would be in her advertising strategy to be part of this. And she promised she'd get back to you, Jean, as soon as possible, because I told her that if she didn't, she'd lose out because there's only one spot left. But that's all I have right now.
Any further comments? Thanks for your work on this, Jean. I just had a question actually. In our last meeting, we had said that staff was going to follow up with the city procurement policy for printing of the calendars. I wondered if they made any progress on that. I know it's not a big rush until we have the calendar better established, right?
Yeah, so through you, Acting Chair, thank you for bringing that up because that is something that I was planning to comment on. There will need to be 3 quotes, fully encompassing the overall printing process and what that's going to look like. And they will need to be current quotes and presented to the committee.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further comments, questions about the calendar? I don't see any hands. Okay, moving on. Number 7, next steps, activities for the remainder of the year. Grandparent/grandkids, swim, movie, bocce tournament, luncheon, speakers, etc.
Okay, I'm the spokesperson on this one. Before I start, however, in my conversations with Joanne this morning, because I'm going to be asking for volunteers, or if we want to do this, but the volunteers' decision to volunteer for some of this may depend on learning this new piece of information that I learned this morning from Joanne. Joanne indicated to me this morning, and please correct me, Joanne, if I misunderstood, because I did take notes, as I told you I was, that we have, over the last 7 years, apparently been conducting our events against some rules or something. And there's some council rule or some council protocol, and as I said, please, clarification, that says that all events have to go through council and have to go through a planning coordinator to be valid events. Can you elaborate on this or maybe clarify it better than what I said?
So Jean, Joanne's currently off. She's in another meeting at this point. So yes, that is correct. Events do need to be approved by council through the minutes of the committee and presented to council. And also there needs to be coordination between us and the program supervisor. And that's how things are events are supposed to be organized through the city of Thorold.
And that is written where?
I would have to find the exact spot. I would have to find the exact reference, but I know that is the policy. That is the policy.
Okay. So is it possible to have that policy in writing for our next meeting?
I can't see why not.
Perfect. Okay, so this may bear, and I just want to say that this has never been an issue before. Our understanding was we had a budget, not a huge budget. We had a budget. We noted the events in our minutes. If the event, then the event council was informed of the events, and per our minutes, and as long as they were within budget and they were recorded in our minutes, the minutes went through. So I guess for the last 7 years, we have been operating under incorrect procedures, and we definitely want to stay with procedures and do everything correctly. So I'll be glad to see the specific reference. I don't even know. It's interesting, we operated for 7 years and nobody even told us who the planning coordinator is. Who's the planning or events coordinator? I'm just curious.
The planning supervisor is a woman by the name of Stephanie. What her role with an event is, there's multiple, but just to give you a brief background, is that when there's an event happening, she would provide support when it comes to staffing, having an area prepared, and also providing liability waivering as well. And now currently with the COVID pandemic, she also facilitates any type of restrictions or anything that we need to think of through a health and safety perspective.
But she doesn't have to approve our events, because when we're planning for September 8th, she's going to be brought in to ensure COVID protocols are met. So she doesn't have to approve our events. Like you said, she has to just be brought in to make sure that, especially under COVID, the COVID protocols are met. Anyway, you're going to provide.
But she also discusses, through the acting chair, Jean, she also discusses facilitates discussions with our health and safety and the chief fire, through the fire chief as well. So she's providing that kind of back and forth so that she's the one person to talk to.
Okay,
well, to have that understanding as well.
Okay, well, we're gonna bring the exact wording and the exact rule at our next meeting so we can ensure that we are meeting all guideline events. Okay, so with regards to the future, I do want, we have done a swim, last year we did a swim, not last year, 2 years ago, we did a swim, grandparent, grandkids swim and a movie night, which turned out really well. In speaking to Curtis this year, the city is, and I don't know if the city, I assume the Parks and Recs department is holding a number of movie nights in the park. So I am prepared to do 4 things for this committee. And I'm not prepared to take on any new projects. I have enough on my plate. I have enough on my plate, including my son's wedding. So I don't know if anybody wants to meet with Curtis and discuss the possibilities of possibly sponsoring one of the movie nights. My feeling is that we forego this under the current COVID circumstances. This is my recommendation. But if somebody wants to take this on, by all means, volunteer, take it on, and I will fully support it. And we do have money in our budget to do this. My feeling is, since we are having movies in the park already, my feeling is that since if we have a swim, it might be restricted. We might not be able to have everybody. We might have to turn people away. The COVID guidelines for stage 3 are not publicized yet. So in my opinion, unless somebody wants to take this on, I think we should defer it in light of the fact that there are going to be a number of movies in the park anyway. But should somebody want to take this on and work with Curtis and sponsor one of the movies that is being held as age-friendly, I am totally in favor of supporting a committee member who might want to take this on.
Thank you, Jean.
And then I'll deal with the other item.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is the virtual Booth 15 Global Conference on Aging update.
No, no, we're still on. So that is the movie. So I assume nobody's going to take the movie on.
Oh, sorry. Sebastian, yes.
So I just wanted to speak on that movie a little bit. So right now, where like the other planned movies stand right now, I don't want to speak too much on it because we're kind of in limbo in terms of waiting for the stage 3 guidelines. But once we do know a bit more about that, I think we can discuss that a bit further. And with the special events committee's support to have one sponsored by the Age Friendly, I think we could take that on.
Okay. So Sebastian, do you want to take the lead on? Are you saying you will take the lead on that and inform us?
Absolutely. So once we get the direction about the stage 3, what's allowed and what's not, and how we're moving forward with the events, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you, Sebastian. That's terrific.
And we have money in our budget for this. So I don't think it has to come back to council unless it's over the budget or back to committee. Because we're not having another meeting before September. Is that our understanding?
You know what, I'm not too sure, because if you're trying to sponsor an event that's already been organized, I'm not too sure how that works because it's already been established.
I would like some clarification on that because my understanding is it was already budgeted for with money for the special events committee.
Yeah, so I'm not too sure what the answer is on that one because it was already established by the special events committee due to the change in the Canada Day event. So I can discuss with Stephanie, who's also the staff person on special events, and get a clearer understanding and relay that information to the committee as well, because I'm not too sure how that would work. If we're trying to incorporate ourselves into an established event.
Can I make a motion then?
Go ahead, Jean.
I would like to make a motion that we do not sponsor a movie night due to that we do not sponsor a movie night this year, as currently movie nights are being planned and budgeted for.
Questions, comments? Can I have a second? Oh, sorry, go ahead, Elaine.
No, I was just going to second it for you.
Okay. So motion by Jean, seconded by Elaine, all in favor? Thank you.
Okay. The other thing is I'll tell you what I'm going to be doing for this committee, but I am not, I don't have the time, or I don't know what my position is going to be with this committee. The bocce tournament is something that is quite likely that will happen in September, could happen in September. It was something that was really successful. It would be minimal costs. Because we already have the trophies, so we'd only have to buy trophies for first place and some medals for second and third place. The cost would absolutely be minimal. We have money in our budget for this. But Diane Dentino, who's now working for the city, I believe she's still working for the city. She helped me work on this when we did it. All the paperwork has been established, so it's not a lot of work. It's not like it's the amount of work, but I will not be spearheading this. If there's a volunteer to spearhead this, possibly work with Diane Dentino. Again, I would provide all of the information. It would require a liaison with Curtis and finding out what requirements are held. But if somebody wants to spearhead this on our committee and form a little working committee to have this budget in September, that's great. If I don't have a volunteer, then I recommend that we don't have it.
Do we have any volunteers? Unfortunately, I don't see anyone's. Okay, I don't see anyone's hand raised, Jean.
Okay, so we will not have a bocce tournament this year. Okay. And with regards to luncheon speakers and all of that, that will have to be dealt with at the September meeting, I guess. So we'll defer that.
Okay, defer till September. Number 8 on the agenda is the virtual booth number 15 Global Conference on Aging update. And I believe, Jean, that also was in your hands.
Yes, this committee allocated $130 towards a virtual booth. Several other municipalities have allocated anywhere from $125 to $150 for this virtual booth. This project is much more labor intensive than I ever thought it would be. It actually involves 3 things. It involves 3 products. The first product is a 1 minute to a 1.5 minute video production. And because we have someone from CARP on our committee, CARP has gotten Zoomer, if the Zoomer organization, if they're a TV station that promotes older adult everything on TV, and they're actually going to produce the video, but it still involves a lot to get a storyboard involved and prepared. Then there's also going to be now a tri-page pamphlet that's going to be prepared, and we're going to be able to have some information on that tri. Some of the municipalities should be able to have some information on that tri-fold pamphlet, and there will probably be sufficient quantities that each municipality will be able to get some for personal distribution. And then the other thing is there's a virtual exhibit. So once you look at the video, you'll be able to go to the virtual exhibit, and each municipality will be allowed a page on this virtual exhibit. So we have to develop the content on that for, what we are old age friendly and pictures and all that. So this is much more than I ever thought it would be. So I'm looking for all and any photos that you might have, of past events that we've done. Donna says that there are some in the clerk's department, and I'm hoping the clerk will be cooperative and give me those photos. So this is, I just want to say that we are going to be featured in these products, and that's kind of what you're getting for your $130. This is a national conference, provides national exposure, and it will say we have age friendly in Niagara, and we have a collaborative of municipalities that are also part of this age friendly. So it's an update and about to tell you all the work it is.
Thank you, Jean. I'd like to start the round table. I'll just go by my screen. Leslie, how about you first?
Oh, okay. I want to ask a question first before I start. Is the Stephanie that's the events person we have to go to, is that Stephanie Jarvis?
That is correct, Leslie.
Yeah, well, we get funding through the municipality and we're very appreciative of it because there's not a lot of funding around. But she's the one that wanted us to, demanded that I put in a report of how we spent the money the second half before we got it. And it took me a while to explain that I couldn't do that. We have a very small budget for horticulture. So just keep that in mind because I understand the protocol and the wanting everything to go through people. But if you put too much bureaucracy in the way of a committee like this, you're gonna lose people. Anyway, I will talk about our virtual rose show. Right now, we're accepting pictures of people's roses. We have put up the rules on our Facebook page, Thorold Garden Club Facebook page. You have till July 26th to pick your best rose or best roses and to take pictures of them full face and looking down. And we have a judge that will judge them. It'll be sometime in August when she finishes doing the judging. So far, we've had a very big response. And if anyone's interested, if you go to our Facebook page, you'll find my Dropbox link. All you have to do is click on that and upload your pictures. It will take you right to where we need to be. And that way our judge can identify the roses by people. And it runs rather smoothly, but it's still a big job. We're also continuing our 4-season visit to different gardens in Thorold, 3 in Thorold, 2 in St. Catharines, 2 in Niagara Falls. Looking, we've already done the spring pictures and we'll be going back within the next week or week and a half to do the summer to show the differences in each garden. And it should be interesting eventually when my grandson, he's studying at Brock and Niagara College, puts them together into a virtual presentation to provide to our anyone that's interested. To submit roses, you do need to be a member of the Thorold Garden Club or Niagara Falls or St. Catharines. It's not a lot of money, but it is a membership fee. And that's about it for right now.
Thanks, Leslie. Fred, could we hear from you if you have anything to add?
Yeah, maybe just a couple of comments. It's been an interesting meeting. A lot of things have happened, and moving forward, it looks like we're going to have to be more structured than we have in the past. Donna looked after us very well for the last 7 years, and maybe some things were just put through that maybe weren't supposed to be put through until council passed it. I, for one, would like to see this committee continue to be more relaxed than what the staff have asked us to be. I know we have to follow the rules, and we should follow rules, but we should be very flexible at what we do as far as this particular committee is concerned. The one thing that I'm very disappointed in from the staff's point of view no, not from the staff's point of view, but from my point of view about the staff, the way they have handled this. I thought that the terms of reference were going to be put out to the committee so that when we came together today, that we could discuss what changes were proceeded with, and that did not happen. Now we have to go at least through another meeting, and I probably have to go through an extra meeting because Jeannie wasn't involved at all. I didn't realize when I went into that meeting about looking at the history of this particular committee that I was going to be involved in changing the terms of reference. And I sat in that meeting. I didn't say anything, but I thought Jeannie should have been there. And I'm very disappointed in the staff for not having her there. But that being the case, I hope we can move forward. Jeannie's going to cut back. I can just see cut back, but hopefully she will continue to be the spokesperson for this committee and be the chair. I hope she'll continue that position, and we'll move forward in a, I guess, a different way than we have in the past, and hopefully it will work out. Sebastian made one comment, or not Sebastian, but Leslie made one comment, and I've seen a few other comments from other committee people in other committees that are starting to say something similar. And hopefully the city will not become a bureaucracy and have to go through all the different hoops in order to other committees that we don't move forward in a nice, relaxful manner and move the city forward. And the Age Friendly specifically, which has done tremendous work over the last 7 years. And I congratulate everybody on here and those in the past. And let's see what happens in the near future regarding this committee and other committees that I've heard about. So anyways, that's all I'll say today.
Thank you, Fred. Elaine, anything to put out there?
I just hope that everybody can work together, senior center included. We're all trying to make partnerships, and we have to treat each other with respect. And respect goes both ways. So I just hope that city staff, I know you're new to all this, and we're kind of I'm new to some of this. So we all need to support each other. So let's try harder in the future.
Marilyn. Anything?
I'm not a member of council. Yeah, I'm muted. I kind of agree with Fred. I'm not sure where this committee is going right now. I'm sticking around to see what's happening, but things are changing and they're not changing for the better.
Thanks, Marilyn. Rhiannon, have you got anything for roundtable?
No, everybody's going through a difficult time, whether they're a volunteer or staff member. And I do think that we have new obligations, and whether we like or not, I'm a bit of a policy procedure person. And if the Ontario government is giving us, because of the good work that everybody's mentioned, that the Age Friendly and committees have done, we will continue, and we will keep the new guidelines. It doesn't mean that we can't be the same people that work and still have a very relaxed atmosphere. It's just that a few rules will be changed, and I appreciate the staff that have to. They are just doing the job that they have to do. So I don't want it to slight one person or another, because I think we're all in here for the same.
Thanks, Rhiannon.
That's all I have to say.
Who haven't we heard from yet? Terry.
Yeah, I just want to bring up a few points. I want to alleviate some of these concerns, because you have to understand, when Donna was involved in this group, Donna did all this stuff that we're asking to be done. all those things that got submitted that were supposed to be done according to procedure were done by Donna. And so they were getting done. You might not have been aware of it, but she was following the procedure. In other words, when you ran an event, you put a budget in and council approves that budget and you list the events you're running. And we don't tell you how to run your events. At the end of the event, Donna took them the receipts and got the money for them from finance. So the procedures were being followed. It's just this committee didn't have to worry about them because Donna was looking after them. So I just want you to know that that's not changing. So we're not telling you how to run an event now, because especially safety protocol, you might have to work through Stephanie to make sure we're following the COVID restrictions and all that stuff. But it's not to become cumbersome. I believe that partnerships are the way to the future, and I heard that here today. And everybody is having trouble getting enough volunteers. So if we work together between groups, we put on events, and it makes it easier on everybody. And I'll give you an example. The city is running numerous events this summer on kids' art programs, fitness programs, movie nights. So if you ever want to partner on one, you partner on one. If you approach the city on the Bochi, because I understand that's a big event and it's hard to get enough people, but if you decide you want to run an event like that and you approach Curtis and say, look, can you partner with us to run this event? And it'll be a city event run in conjunction, just like the TCAGs running events in partnership with the city. And that makes it easier on everybody. So I think that's just a suggestion moving forward on how we can run events and work as a team. But I just want you to know that nothing's really changing. It's just that a lot of legwork that was being done by Donna, but she was following the procedures and submitting receipts and getting the money. And but what we do as a council is you put in a budget, say, of $3,000, and these are the events we plan to run, and we say go, and that's it. I don't expect us to have to be putting handcuffs on you people, because the work you're doing is so important in our community, and you're right, it shouldn't be cumbersome. So I think that anything I can do to make it less cumbersome, I'm all for trying to help, because I really believe that's the way forward. But I just want you to know that this committee's work is definitely not just appreciated by council. I hear it out in the community. So this is bigger than council. So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Terry. Sebastian, anything to add?
Nothing for me.
Okay, we'll let you get off this time. Dan?
Yeah, I have a brief TCAJ update, and it will, as Councillor Neal mentioned earlier, given our mandate to deal with the full age spectrum, it will round that out for us today, and that is the summer day camp update. Happy to announce that we did kick off Monday as scheduled with full capacity based on the COVID restrictions, but a great group of staff, a great group of kids, really. And we're happy to see that happening. And like the rest of you, we're working on our plans to come out of this. And it's looking like things are pretty well on track. We had predicted maybe September to have significantly less restrictions, and it's, according to the public health guidelines, it's kind of looking that way.
Thank you, Dan. Jean?
First of all, I want to thank Terry's comments, and I hope they're captured in the minutes, because I don't think a lot of the rules have changed. They were just taken care of, as he said. And we have a great committee. In fact, in the region, we are recognized as a good committee. And it's because of the people on the committee, and it's because of the support we get from the mayor and from Councillor Neal. And it was also because we were the envy of the region because of the staff support that we got. And we have had lots of meetings and discussions on staff and on staff support. And it has been noted as one of the more important things that allow a committee to function properly and without drama. And so that's a note. And I really want to thank Terry for his comments and for his presence. I'm sure he could have done a lot of other things here today. But, and Councillor Neal, I don't want to, because Councillor Neal has been a good council rep to us. And I want to thank all of you. In fact, although it seems like we haven't done a lot, we are one of the few committees that have actually had monthly meetings. Most age-friendly committees have hardly had any meetings during this COVID. So pat yourselves all on the back. And we really didn't have much drama for 7 years. In fact, I thought it was one of the easiest committees I've ever been on, for all of those reasons that I just mentioned. So thank you. And my apologies also lately if I've been a little bit upset. So that's number one. Number two, my commitment to this committee as of today, this is my commitment to you. I will finish the calendar project. I will do whatever has to be done, and I may ask for some help. And a calendar project, I've already got Marilyn help me. I may ask somebody else to. We're gonna need some help. But the virtual booth, our section of the virtual booth. So to do whatever has to be done for that. I am committed to the September 8th Seniors Awards, which are already basically planned for, and we fully know about contacting Stephanie. That wasn't an issue, and making sure whatever COVID protocols are on September 8th that we follow them. And I have a commitment to attending the September meeting, and that includes a meeting for the terms of reference. I will not commit right now to anything past the September 8th meeting. I will reevaluate my position. Sorry. Okay, and this is just a house cleaning thing. Elaine is replacing Laura on our committee. We don't need any motions or anything because the current terms of reference say that we need one person from the senior center. So this is just a housekeeping thing. So Elaine will, until further notice, be representing Laura as the seniors rep on our committee instead of Laura. And we would appreciate it, Margaret, if you would take Laura off the distribution list for our minutes, agendas, etc.
No problem.
And that's all I have to say. Thank you all.
Thank you, Jean. I have to say, our next meeting, September, is going to be run much more smoothly because you'll have your lovely chair, Jean, back instead of your acting chair. On a happy note, I just wanted to say, yay, Ice Pop Shop opened on Front Street. Another business and something I'm personally looking really forward to going to all the time. And Dan, I'm so happy about your group working with the city about doing the outside fitness. I'm looking forward to that if it ever stops raining. Other than that, I don't have much to say except, Jean, I hope you reconsider. And I know things are getting better. COVID's getting a little bit farther away. Everybody's getting their shots. Things are looking up. And you have a hell of a good group in this committee. They're all hardworking, supportive of each other. And I know we've had some change with staff, but I look forward to that growing better as well. We're all getting to know each other a little bit better. And I think things are going to come together. And I'm looking for good things to happen, and goddamn, we'll get that bocce ball tournament because it's important to the community. We'll see what we can do for that. If no one has anything further, we should conclude. I need a motion to end this meeting so we can start on positive meetings. Dan, mover, seconder. I'm not allowed to second. Sebastian, thank you. Okay, that concludes our meeting. Next meeting, September the 8th, and I look forward to it. Everybody stay cool.
I know.
And take care. Bye-bye.
Good job, Joey. Thank you. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, Joey. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.